Since the beginning of last regular season up until the trade deadline and even into this offseason so far, we have seen the New York Rangers go out there and really make a bunch of moves, just trying to change up this roster and, in certain areas upgrade it as well, and just trying to make this team a whole lot better than what it was from this past season. So I figured in today's video, with all those moves kind of being made, of course, I figured it'd be an interesting idea to take a look at the Hockey Writers article where they come out with their top 3 best and worst contracts on the New York Rangers currently for the 2025-26 season. So let's just get right into it here. And we'll start things off by taking a look at the best 3 contracts, and one of those players, of course, is JT Miller. This is someone who I definitely think is on a pretty solid contract right now. He has currently 5 more seasons left with a cap hit of just $8 million, and I think for what he brings, that is not bad at all. He is of course, true kind of top 6 caliber centerman. At moments, he definitely plays like a true number 1 caliber guy. And I think with his kind of really good two-way game there, him having a really good offensive game, really good defensive game, but also he's got that toughness, physicality, grit, energetic kind of play there, which really kind of translates into the playoffs, I think. So having a guy like that in your team, I think, with that all-around play, they're not just the offensive and defensive game, but the physicality and that kind of side of things as well. I think he's just such a well-rounded, complete player. So having a guy like that in your team for the foreseeable future is not bad at all. And with the cap skyrocketing up as it will continue to do, I think an $8 million cap hit is not bad at all, and 5 more years left. Although, yes, he is in his 30s now. It's not like he's like 27, 28 right now. They're just kind of entering his prime. I still think this contract should age quite well, and shouldn't be too bad at all. Obviously, in 2, 3, 4 years, maybe he has taken a pretty big step back, but I think overall his kind of play style definitely translates to be able to kind of go into his kind of later 30s there and actually still, I would say work quite well with his kind of game, not relying on some blazing kind of speed there or anything like that. I think his kind of style of play should translate quite well as he does continue to age. So overall, I think this contract is quite nice. It may not be a kind of top 10 value deal in the entire NHL, but it definitely is a pretty solid deal and is not bad at all for the New York Rangers. And now moving on, we have Adam Fox, who has 4 more years left under contract with a cap hit of $9.5 million. And I'm going to be honest, I think that's more than fine. This is a quality number 1 caliber defenseman. He's a top 5 defenseman in the entire NHL still, a great two-way player, offensively phenomenal, defensively phenomenal, kill penalties, and quarterback a power play. Just an all-around phenomenal player. The only area in his game that may not be great, I guess you could say, is the physicality side of things there. But overall, his offensive game and defensive game speaks for itself there. He is a phenomenal elite defenseman, and a $9.5 million cap hit is not bad at all for that. Carrying on, though, to the next player here, we have for the third and final of the kind of best contracts before we move on to the kind of worst deals, you could say, we have Vincent Trocheck, of course, and this is the by far best value deal on the New York Rangers currently, and it has only gotten better as it's kind of aged, and it's only going to get better as the cap continues to go up. This is a deal that right up until it's finished is going to look like an incredible and one, I would say, the best value deals really in the entire NHL. Vincent Trocheck, a true number 2 caliber centerman, maybe even kind of upper tier second line centerman, you could almost say, making $5.625 million for the next 4 seasons, I think is just incredible. This has been an elite kind of contract, an elite kind of value deal for the Rangers, and it's only kind of gotten better, like I said. I mean, even when this deal was signed, I thought it wasn't bad at all, but now as it's kind of gone along here, it's only looked better and better and better. This is truly just an incredible value deal for this team. He could easily be making upwards of like 7.5, something around there, kind of $1 million per season easily on the open market. So I think this is clearly a great value contract for this team, and I would say is the clear best deal on the right team for the Rangers right now. I mean, he and his all-around play, the two-way game that he has there, but also some of that kind of toughness and physicality and that kind of style of play as well, which he definitely has. So I think with all that being said, his amazing two-way game, the grittiness that he has as well, and him being on a contract worth, $5.625 million per season for the next 4 years, I think is pretty incredible. And now we're going to move on to the top 3 worst contract side of things here. In the first player we have, of course, is Mika Zibanejad. Although I do think this deal is going to look better than kind of what it was maybe looking like last season there, I think it is still obviously not going to look great and isn't going to be quite worth that whole kind of 8.5 mil. I think Mika, obviously last season there to begin things, had a quite horrible just start to things there at center, was pretty terrible offensively and defensively. He was not bringing it, but once he did make that switch over to wing, that's where I really started to kind of like a lot more of kind of what I was seeing with his game there. He started to bring a lot more kind of just energy, and it seemed like he was a lot more kind of just in the game there, and obviously brought a lot more offensively as well. So I think keeping him on wing there is kind of what I want to see after what we saw from him at center last season there. And I think with him on wing going forward, he should have a pretty solid defensive game there, because at moments in the past he has been a pretty good defensive centerman. So hopefully on wing defensively he can be a pretty good kind of plus defensive forward, and then you also have that potential to be a kind of point per game plus kind of offensive guy. So if you can kind of bring all that around together on wing there, I think at least worst case he can be like a 6.5 mil kind of value guy at worst, right? Compared to obviously that 8.5 mil might not be worth that full deal, but definitely could kind of make things a little easier than what it was looking like, for example, last season there when he was playing quite terrible at center. The second player they have here is Carson Soucy with a cap hit of just $3.25 million with 1 year left under contract. I think, yes, if you're just taking a look at the entire New York Rangers team kind of as a whole, this is definitely one of the kind of worst deals on the team, but I also think that's kind of good, I guess you could say. I mean, this being one of the worst deals kind of says that there aren't a ton of really bad deals, so that's kind of nice, I guess, but this is definitely a deal that I think, for example, heading into this offseason there, if this Rangers team had the option to have an extra $3.25 million in cap space, or they could have, Carson Soucy for just this upcoming season, I think they're definitely taking that cap space over the players. So yes, in all, you'd probably rather not have Soucy on your team, but with 1 year left, I don't think it's like a, obviously you're not going to ruin this team's future, for example. So it is what it is there. 1 year left, 3.25. It's not great, but it is what it is. The Rangers will get past it there, and it is a movable contract, so if they want to go out there and make some kind of a trade happen there for a, big upgrade defensively or a big upgrade on the forward side of things there, they do have a decent sized contract to kind of offload and deal as well, which, can make things a little easier to kind of facilitate, of course, but at the end of the day, like I said, if the Rangers had the choice, they'd probably rather that 3.25 mil just in itself opened up, but he is a player that I'm sure will be better than what we saw from him last season there, after a very awful season from the entire New York Rangers team in general for the most part there. He was one of those players that didn't play good at all once he got here, but I think there were so many problems with this team there. So going into a full new kind of season there with a new coaching staff, a bunch of new players, this team overall should be a lot better, and same thing with hopefully Carson Soucy as well. And next up here, they don't have a kind of third, top three kind of worst contracts on the team, but they do have a player here that they kind of call his deal, not a major issue, but a little strange, and that is Juuso Parsonen's 2-year deal that he got with a $1.25 million cap hit. Of course, he signed that new deal with the Rangers, and I don't think it's that bad. I mean, kind of like they say there, maybe it is a little strange, but really and truly, I think it does make sense. They kind of seem to like Juuso, it seems like. I just kind of have a feeling of that. So whether or not that was more of kind of like last season's regime there or this one, we'll have to wait and see. But I think overall, Juuso is definitely still a kind of solid centerman. I mean, a solid overall forward. He can play center, can play wing if he has to. Has some good size. They're like 6'3". Has a decent kind of 2-way game. They're nothing crazy offensively or defensively, but I think he's just kind of solid. Bringing some toughness and physicality, some energy. So maybe there is something there still. He's in his mid-20s. He's on a somewhat cheap, valuable deal, I guess. I mean, it's not like great value necessarily, but it's not like a kind of bad deal. So I think overall it's a fine contract. Who cares? 1.25. I mean, if you have to, you could unload that contract pretty easily, I'm sure. So it is what it is, but it definitely isn't a phenomenal deal, but it's also not a kind of terrible deal, I would say. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to click that like button and subscribe for daily New York Rangers content. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on today's video. As always, do you kind of agree with some of these kind of players that they have for their kind of top 3 best and worst contracts? You think a guy like Trocheck, JT Miller, and Fox, they have like the top 3 best contracts in the Rangers, and then do you think guys like Zibanejad and Soucy have the kind of 2 worst contracts in the team? And also, what are your thoughts on that Juuso Parsons deal? I'll catch you in next one. And of course, let's go Rangers.